Hey guys, Perigi here. In this video we're going to recreate this web design from scratch using Figma. Now this is part of a UI kit from UI8 called Brainwave, so feel free to check it out on their website. But without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Alright, so let's get started with the basics, which is going to be creating a frame, which we're going to add a width of 1440 pixels. And the reason being is that it's just a nice measurement to get started with a desktop frame, because it's not too big, so it's gonna be enough for most users. It's not too big, not too small. So we're going to go ahead and as the very first thing, we're going to change the color to match the actual landing page, which in this case is going to be this value right here. And as you can see, it's not fully dark, has a touch of blue, and the reason being is that it just adds a little bit of dynamism to the color, so this is going to make it more alive overall. So on the top section, we're going to have the logo, and we want to really go into the details of creating the logo. We're just going to pretend that the client sent us the logo, or that we previously designed it. And before we move forward, I'm going to take a moment to basically go over a very important step whenever you're working on any web design and even web app project potentially, and that is creating a layout grid. Now, if we go ahead and we select columns, you can barely see in this instance. I'm going to just turn it into white. Going to give it a little bit of more opacity just so that you can see it better. You can see that we have these 5 columns. Now I'm going to use 12 columns simply because, well, first of all, I'm used to the times where we had Bootstrap and 12 columns was the default. A lot of web structures and frameworks essentially are using 12 columns as the reference, so it's a good place to start really. But also it gives us flexibility in the design, as you're going to see in just a moment. So we're going to add a little bit of margin so that the whole layout, actually let's just give it quite tight since it's 1440 pixels, and I'm going to group this into one single element, which is going to be this union. We can double click in order to change the name to logo. And at this point, we're going to add the different menu items, which we can easily do. I'm actually going to go ahead and copy it since we're going to have the exact same style. The typography is going to be Source Code Pro, and as you can see, it's all caps. So you can turn on all caps or the uppercase by simply going here under this menu and then uppercase, and you should be able to have it really. Now we can go ahead and duplicate this, and we're going to basically select both of them. We're going to make them into an auto layout. Now usually I use Shift plus A, but I want to show you that you can add the auto layout by right clicking while having both items selected. As you can see, we have this auto layout. I'm going to select the second one. I'm going to use Command C, Command V to copy this 4 times, and simply going to bring it over here, and we're probably going to want to simply double click in order to fill the space in between. So as you can see, this is going to set the gap to extend. So very similarly to CSS Flexbox, I mean, the auto layout is essentially replicating that feature. Now we're going to double click, and as you can see, it's kind of hard to see with this column structure, this color. So what we're gonna do, and it's usually what I do in most designs is I tone it down a little bit so that I can barely see the columns. So these are going to give us a good base, but without being overwhelming on the design. So we can always keep a high level eye on or view on the project. So let's change this one. And here we go. All right, now we're going to add one more, but it's going to be outside of the auto layout. So we don't want this to be in it, since it's going to be a separate item on the right. Now we're going to create a very interesting element, which I'm going to simply go over here and copy the original. And it's this button right here. Now, might seem overwhelming to create, but it's actually quite simple. So what we're gonna do is we're actually going to create the rectangle, and we just want to go to a place where it's quite similar. It doesn't need to be exactly the same. And we can actually do this a couple of ways. We could actually create these elements, these circles of colors, and then mask it. I'm going to change the style just a little bit, and I'm going to use over here the stroke, make it white, and one thing that you can do directly from this point is adding two other points, and now simply reduce the corner radius, or actually that's what we need to do is actually bring this point right here, and probably you could actually change the mirroring options. Let me just have a look on these, or simply even like just drag it directly here. So as you can see, there sometimes you can achieve the same results in different ways, and there isn't really like a set and true single way to achieve different results within Figma. So what we're gonna do now is we're simply going to go ahead and add a gradient. For the sake of this example, I think it's going to be enough without going into the nitty-gritty, since we have a lot to cover. And going to add this one right here. I'm going to add this color, and then oops, if I can select it. As you can see, we have this gradient which is somewhat similar. If you want to also add this touch of yellow, what I would do is create a circle, and I'm going to go back to the linear and radial, and yeah, it's probably going to be enough. I don't want to make it overwhelming, if that makes sense. And what I could do is duplicate this rectangle, and select both the duplicated rectangle and the ellipse. Use a mask, and here we go. Cool. So you can literally create a element around these lines very, very easily. Cool. So have a look at this. I'm gonna group it. Close button. Bring it here, and simply going to copy and paste the text style. I think we deserve it after all of this work. And we're good to go when it comes to the header. So now let's move on to the next part, which is going to be the typography. And I'm actually going to go ahead and grab the header. Now this is another font which is called Sora. So as you can see over here, we have this this fun combination between source code and Sora, which works pretty well because they're not too alike, but they still merge together in a really nice way. And I'm simply going to duplicate this, make it smaller for this sub headline, and I'm actually going to go ahead and add the text, which is this one here. Probably want to make it regular so that we don't take too much visual emphasis from the actual header. And we have this really interesting element beneath the text of the header, which is this one here. And I'm going to show you how to do it from scratch. So simply take the pen tool and just two points is going to be enough. You can always tweak them. And again, doesn't necessarily need to be like perfectly the same. You can tweak these as you wish. And if we have a sneak peek at the original, it's simply going to be a linear, but oops, I actually need to go back. It's going to be set to angular. Now, what Angular is going to do is it's going to create like this angle of a gradient. So you simply add all of these elements, all of these colors actually, which is going to be this one, and then I'm going to have this green, and some purple, and pink, and essentially this is gonna do is if I increase the size a little bit so that you can see better, you're going to have this this effect by default, which in my opinion is good enough. But if you go with Angular, you can actually create this very interesting, almost like a reflection of a diamond effect. So you can go ahead and basically apply this. So we're going to make it a little bit more towards the bottom. You could add them here, change it up a little bit. And we're good to go. Cool stuff. Okay, now we're going to work on the background before going into the details of the top level section. So what we're gonna do here is we're going to add a few different circles, which is going to be something around these lines. Already had that. And essentially this is very simple to do. So we go and create an ellipse, and then change the stroke, copy it, make it bigger, copy it, make it bigger. You get the gist by now. And simply change the color to somewhat of a white color. So this is the base, and it's going to add some more visual interest to the composition as a whole. I'm going to reduce the background columns color just a little bit, and the second part is actually going to be creating a gradient, which is going to be easier to do by simply doing something around these lines. Gradient, radial. We're going to make them quite a bit pronounced for the moment. I'm going to make this one bigger. It's going to be, oops, it's going to be more of a blue tint, just like that. We can even add another one, a little bit more on the green side of things, just to add a little bit of visual interest. And This one is going to be very slight, so I'm going to turn down the opacity to 20%. I'm going to turn down the opacity on this one to 50, and this one here is probably going to be, let's see, 50 as well. I think that that works. I'm going to group these guys together, otherwise it's going to be freaking impossible to to select them afterwards. Change them to gradients, and I need to select these other guys as well, circles. Now, as you can see, it's not in the frame, so I'm simply going to change it and bring it in the frame. And yeah, now we need to add the call to action. So I'm going to adjust that. Okay, selected the wrong one. So I'm actually, I don't even need this mask anymore. Okay, maybe let's give it just a little bit of more visual width. All right, and I'm probably going to bring these guys down using Option Command and the down arrow key. And so we're going to lock them, because otherwise it's going to be impossible to continue to work on this concept. And we have the base going. All right, now it's going to be a few different items that we have in the background. It's going to be important to add them before we actually go ahead and or actually we could add them afterwards, no problem. But it's basically these small gradient balls, which are extremely simple to recreate. These are simply ellipses, and then a gradient has been applied, the most default gradient. Just add this color here, this darker tone, I guess, or even you could even keep the same color and just reduce the opacity. It's probably going to yield something which is very similar. Probably they actually applied this color. But yeah, you can see how such a small element is going to basically bring the layout even more to life. So the building blocks of these designs aren't really complicated. The important thing is the attention to details and really trying to think what would make this user experience, what would bring it to life. So this is actually like the key question that you need to ask yourself whenever you're creating one of these designs. Now let's move on and we're going to add the main section, which is going to be a rectangle right here. As you can see, the grids are allowing us to add actually we can even make it bigger just to make it stand out. And I'm going to copy and paste this stroke, and this is looking nice. I'm going to copy and paste again. And I'm going to add a fill, which is probably going to be something around these lines. All right, select this, reduce the corner radius, reduce the width, and here we go. Cool. So at this point, I'm actually going to add the image. So what I'm gonna do is in the original file, simply going to select the guy. It's gonna take a moment because basically they nested everything within components. So it takes a moment to actually like copy and paste the actual image, but here we go. So I'm going to duplicate this, and let's go ahead, select this one, reduce the corner radius, add a fill, and I'm going to essentially use Option Alt plus Command plus C in order to copy the style, and then here Option Alt Command plus V. As you can see, we copied it, but it's not in the right position. How do you change it? Super easy. Double click on it, and actually if it was set to crop, but in this case we're going to click on image and then select crop. As you can see the preview of the entire image. So simply going to go with this level right here, close to the original. Pretty simple, pretty easy. And going to reduce the width just a little bit so that these strokes aren't don't get hidden. And cool, we are good to go. And now we need to create the actual rectangles, which are containers, which is actually pretty simple. So we're going to go ahead and basically add this guy right here, copy the color and make it a little bit darker, corner radius, background blur. As you can see, you can't really see anything, but if you decrease the fill, increase the background blur just a bit, yeah, I should do. We have to make it white, like more lighter, and we're simply going to go ahead borrow these icons, add them over here, all right, looking good. And we can go ahead and do the same for this element. So we're going to go ahead over here with another rectangle. And you can even decrease a bit more the overall opacity. Yes, make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to copy and paste the style. Right, let's copy this one. Which, by the way, these 3 items are actually super simple to recreate. You simply need to apply a stroke for around the same color as the background to the image, and yeah, just reorder them so that they stack one on top of the other. Pretty simple. And they also have a reference to the time, so we're going to bring it over here, and if you want to add a nice touch, you can actually find nuclear icons. Oh, cool. Search for time, and so we're going to drag and drop this one right here. Cool. So we have the base going for this, and we also need this element, which we can copy directly here. Very simple to recreate. Just give me a moment. This one is just essentially a rectangle with corner radius applied. So just like that. Turn into dark. This element in particular, very simple to recreate. Create an ellipse, add a little bit of sweep, change this radius or ratio and basically make this with corner radius. And now we're gonna use the radio, or actually you can simply go ahead and basically adjust this so that it's going to be, actually there is a better way. For some reason it's not popping in my mind now that I'm thinking about it. I'm going to get back to you in another video where we're specifically going to tackle this this element. There is a way to create like this gradient, angular, of course. The which even this, it's a bit of a cheat. It's not like exactly like the best way to recreate it, but you can definitely do it with the angular gradient. So there you have it. And then this one right here, it's actually text. I actually thought it was just a rectangle layer or a line layer just added in there. And yeah, this is looking good so far. We can add also the other rectangles, but we're probably going to keep it short and sweet in this tutorial. And very next step is going to be adding the logos, which you can find these logos or similar logos by simply going on the Figma community. And I'm just going to show you real quick. Figma community logos, and you're going to be able to find like all sorts of logos that you can use for your projects, or even like logo placeholders which look beautiful like these ones here. So yeah, it's gonna be great to show the client, and social proof on the hero section is always something which is good overall. So this is pretty much it for this video. We could go on and on for days, but I'm probably going to work on some more tutorials for you guys. So if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like as always. And if you want to learn more about design, Figma, UI, UX and web design, I myself am a designer with 10 years of experience where I'm sharing my knowledge for free on this channel. And if you want to learn more, feel free also to subscribe to my newsletter. That is where I share things which I normally can't really show on social media. So if you're interested in getting to the next level, do that, and I'll see you in the very next video.